Transition awareness breathing. Feeling grounded for both children and parents is essential for healthy living and learning. Join Eartha Powell on this series for tips and tools for creating a harmonious environment for learning. Transition awareness breathing will help you and your child find an individualized path to tackle change, promote lifelong learning, and discover new approaches to calmness.
Imagine you have a flashlight in one hand. Turn on your flashlight. Now, take your other hand and cover the light that's glowing out of the flashlight with your other hand. So now, one hand is holding the flashlight and your other hand is covering the light. Now, walk into a dark room. This is just an experiment. We're not going to really do this, but imagine. Look at your hands. You see beams of light piercing through your fingertips around the crevices of your hand. You may even feel the warmth from the glow of the flashlight. That glow, that light is seeping through your fingers. You pull your fingers away from the top of the flashlight, and the light beams through your hands and lights up the dark space. That light is your compassion, is your self-compassion. That light is your positive light. And now, when you remove the cover, you remove your vulnerabilities, you remove your barriers, you're sharing that compassion in a dark area. Welcome to Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast. This is Eartha, and I am so excited and happy that you have joined me today in our third series on talking about compassion. But first, before I get started, I would like to thank Web Talk Radio for allowing me to have a platform to bring Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast to you. And I would like to thank my producers, Mary Lou and Sam, for making Transition Awareness Breathing Podcast available to you wherever you are at. Now let's get started. I opened with an imagery exercise of the flashlight. I like to use imagery because whatever concepts I'm trying to bring across, I think it helps. So today we're going to talk about sharing our compassion. We talked a lot last time about our self-compassion. And now we're going to go the next step. The next step is to share our compassion. Now, I just want to make it clear because I want us to be comfortable and I want us to be able to understand the definitions that we're talking about on the same sheet of music, like I always like to say. When I'm talking about compassion, just as a review, we're talking about maybe, in summary, the welfare or the well-being of others, the welfare, the well-being of ourselves. Because last time we talked about self-compassion. And one of the things that we learned is in order to share compassion, we have to start with ourselves and be compassionate to ourselves. Compassion doesn't necessarily mean that we're focusing on love. you can share compassion, but it doesn't necessarily require love. Compassion reaches out and recognizes that there is a need, that there may be people suffering, but there is a desire to help, to make things better. Love is, or it contains a relationship, affection, and so we are going to talk about, and what we're talking about is compassion and how to express compassion outwardly. We're in a situation with the pandemic, and we're quarantined, we're limited as far as how close we can get to people socially. And I think, whether, you believe in whether it's you have to wear a mask or not, I highly recommend wear a mask. Don't wear it for, and this is a compassionate thought, don't wear the mask for yourself, wear the mask for someone else. And that is the core of compassion. You're doing something to help someone else. Another way to express compassion is saying kind words. We are very limited, when you have your mask on, when you're smiling. And I know there's a lot of different facial masks and coverings where they're making clear, or you can see your lips. But when you use your words and you share a kind word, a thank you, holding the door for someone that's coming in behind you, or opening the door for someone that's coming through, those are compassionate acts of kindness. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you love that person. You don't even know the person. So that's why we want to make sure that we understand exactly what compassion is. We are able to share our compassion. Well, why? Why is that so important? When we share kindness and we practice acts of kindness, we really do change the environment into a more positive surrounding. And not only a positive surrounding, but a place where it feels safe, a place where it feels comfortable. What are some other examples of sharing compassion? Respecting the privacy of others, encouraging someone. Have you ever had the opportunity to teach someone, a child, your child, somebody else's child, how to ride a bicycle? I mean, most of the time, if you have a child, you get to that certain age and they've graduated from the tricycle. And, when they were riding the tricycle, it was a big, big event. They could barely touch the pedals. But now, they're big, they're 4 or 5 years old, and the tricycle has gotten too small. And so you graduate that child to training wheels. Oh, and it's a big, big event. But, you look at the child and, they're excited, but they're kind of holding back a little bit of hesitation, fear. So what kind of words are you using when you see that child? You're using positive words. You're saying all kinds of positive. Your voice is positive, and that child is riding on a thread of your encouragement. And then they get to the point where they've graduated from the training wheels. The training wheels are coming off. Now the child is ready to ride with his or her own sense of balance. Have you ever experienced that? Teaching someone, encouraging them to ride their bicycle without training wheels? You find a nice open spot where they're safe, where they're not disturbed, where they won't be embarrassed. Don't we have to do the same thing when we're practicing showing compassion? Sometimes it doesn't come easy. As I began to say a few minutes ago, we've been in this pandemic situation, and it's made us a bit aware of, and that's good. It's made us aware of how close we get to people, of our cleanliness. Is really, really making us aware. But I think on the other hand, we also have to learn how to show compassion with different ways of, without violating and respecting people's privacy and their beliefs. They may not believe the same thing that we do, so we may not feel comfortable showing our compassion. And so that's why learning self-compassion is very important. You've got to know yourself so that when you're encouraging someone else, you know that, okay, getting back to the riding the bicycle scenario, I know how to ride a bike, but I know how important it is for this child to hear all these positive words, because that positive words and those encouraging words is helping build the self-confidence of that child. And it's the same thing for us when we are demonstrating signs of acts of kindness and compassion. We want to start small. We may not be comfortable. We might be still on the training wheels. We may be just accustomed to showing compassion to the people in our inner family circle, our own social circle. But, maybe we don't want to get involved in anything else. And that's okay. That's what we're learning. And so we want to have a growth mindset and not a fixed mindset where we're having so many negative thoughts that's going to freeze us and prevent us from growing. So we want to keep our mind open. And just like when we get back to the scenario of the child riding the bicycle, they may fall. They may fall once. They may fall twice. I told my children that, when you're riding a bicycle, you got to at least fall about 5-6 times. And it's just a number. Why did I say 5 or 6? Not any reason, just a random number. Because when they found that they could take off and ride that bicycle after falling 3 or 4 times, they know that, wow, I made progress. And I'm just like everybody. I didn't do anything unusual. And, sometimes accidents happen. And that has to be included when we're building on someone's confidence, that sometimes it's not going to be easy. And when we're talking about expressing compassion, sometimes it's not going to be easy. Sometimes we're not aware of how our words or how our nonverbal communication may come across to some people. And we have to be willing and open to say, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say what I said or do what I did. I didn't mean to offend you. And many times, that is part of, again, expressing compassion. So when you see that child, back into the scenario of riding the bicycle, they've fallen a few times, but for a few feet they're wobbly and they are taken off, and you can tell because you see the confidence and the smile on their face. And I don't know what words that I can put in it, besides excitement when you see your child take off on that bicycle by themselves without training wheels. That first few feet they are striding. It is such a wonderful feeling. And the same thing when we go back to practicing compassion. the more we practice, we learn about body language, or we learn about different ways of expressing compassion, just in small ways, saying thank you. When we go to the grocery store, or when we're going to our favorite, I don't know, you're getting some stamps, any place, and you hold the door open for someone, and they don't expect it. They may look at you like, I don't need for you to hold the door open for me. What do you think? And that's okay. It's not about you. It may be from their experience. Remember, we talked about that last time. Just because someone expresses something about you doesn't mean it's true. And so, you look at this and your light is glowing. Going back to our imagery that we began with a few minutes ago. You have your light. You've got your positive light. And you're starting to let it glow. And sometimes it's too bright for some people. And, it's okay. Because one thing that may happen is, however awkward or nervous that you may be in sharing compassion outside of your normal family circle, your family bubble, you may be teaching someone else about expressing compassion. Have you ever thought about that? Because going back to the bicycle scenario, now the child is riding their bicycle, and if you have other children in your home or the child's friend, they want to ride. They want to know how to ride their bicycles without training wheels. It's so rewarding, and that positive vibrations and emotions that fills the environment is contagious. Now, when they're riding their bicycle, what's the next step? Driving, of course. And so we repeat the same path, the words of encouragement, and also the training. It's all about learning ourselves, learning others, and knowing that when you share your light, when you share acts of kindness and compassion, you are sharing positive vibrations. You're changing the environment that you are at. And when other people see that, you have really made someone's day. They may not say anything. And they may go back home and say, I haven't seen this in a long time. I was going to the store and somebody opened the door for me, or somebody let me go first, or somebody said thank you. So just know that you are making a difference in the world. Congratulations. Thank you for listening to the Compassion series. I hope that you got at least one thing out of it. Be welcome to listen to the whole thing now that this is the last in this series. And next time, we're going to talk about taking transition awareness breathing into the virtual classroom. I know many children are heading back to school. This is a back to school time. And so we're going to talk about next time really piecing transition awareness breathing, adapting it into the school environment. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Let your compassion glow. Be well, be safe, and I'll see you next time.
Be sure and pick up a copy of Eartha's new book, Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's not just an ordinary coloring book. It features 23 illustrations to stimulate thought, relaxation, and creativity for anyone between the ages of 4 and 94. Increase your positive self-talk energy. Unlock new creative paths. Transform your time once or twice a week to create beautiful art while strengthening confidence, building positive self-talk, and sensitize self-awareness. tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's available now at Amazon.com.